Okay, so we have the BMW back up on blocks because it has a new oil leak. Now you may be thinking, yeah, it's a BMW, of course it has an oil leak. But this time it's leaking from the exhaust. What? Okay, so I think I mentioned this in the previous video, but I think our eBay turbo is bad, or at least the seals in the turbo are bad, and it's allowing it to leak oil out the exhaust. Okay, so unfortunately that means this turbo either needs to be repaired or replaced. I decided to take the replace option because Maxpeedingrods sent me this guy. Now, I did not get this for free, but I did get a nice discount. And if you shop at Maxpeedingrods, you can get a discount. In checkout, use the discount code BLACKTREE for 10% off your order. Okay, anyway, back to the turbos. This eBay turbo is a generic T3 T4 type turbo with an internal wastegate. This one is also a generic T3 T4 with an internal wastegate, so theoretically they should be interchangeable. But there's only one way to find out. Let's get this guy out of the car and take a look. Okay, so we removed the triangle brace and the scavenge pump. That only took a few minutes. Just a side note, it's summertime in Florida, which means it's really hot, and I'm using fans to keep cool. Now whenever I film, I have to turn the fans off because of the noise, and then I suffer. What I'm getting at is there's going to be a lot of jump cuts. Hope you don't mind. Okay, so it even has oil in the intake pipe. Are you serious? Okay, so fast forward about an hour and we have the eBay turbo out of the car. Now we learned that not only was it leaking oil out the exhaust, but it was also leaking oil into the compressor housing. Fun times. Okay, so we have the old turbo out of the car, or I should say we have the eBay turbo out of the car, and this of course is the Maxpeedingrods turbo. On closer inspection, these turbos are almost identical. However, when I ordered this one, I made an oopsie. I accidentally ordered it without the wastegate hardware here. So I'm going to have to install the wastegate housing onto this turbo. And actually, I might transfer this exhaust housing onto that turbo as well, because if you remember, I ported this one. And to be honest, I don't really want to do all the porting work again on that one. Oh, and since I have both turbos here, now you can see the difference between the ported exhaust housing and the original exhaust housing. Look at how tiny the wastegate opening is right here, and how much I enlarged it. So yeah, like I just mentioned, I'm going to take this exhaust housing, put it on this turbo, and we should be good to go. Okay, so we got the exhaust housing removed from the eBay turbo. Now before we install it on the Maxpeedingrods turbo, we want to clean this thing out because it is full of oil. Okay folks, we removed the turbo from the BMW because it was leaking oil. It leaked oil out the exhaust and also into the intake. Now at first I thought maybe the seals in the turbo were bad, but then I noticed this. Yeah, this is the drain line for the turbo, and there's a kink in the line right there. So, that was probably our problem. The turbo is probably still good. But, you know what? We got this nice, spiffy new turbo here anyway, so we might as well install it. Oh, and of course I need to fix that. Okay, so we have the eBay exhaust housing installed on our Maxpeedingrods turbo, and it fits perfectly. So, let's get this thing installed in the car. Welcome to Florida. Okay, that took a while. Installing the turbo is sort of like playing Tetris. Anyway, we got everything installed except for this one intake pipe, because I want to take one last look at that billet compressor wheel before we put the intake pipe back on. Okay, so it's the next day. Actually, today is Memorial Day. We're going to be firing up the grill in a few minutes. But anyway, we got the old turbo out. We got the kinked oil drain line out. The new turbo is in. And I want to start the engine and see how it runs. Okay, so this is the first start with the Maxpeedingrods turbo. And it's what? The first start in this video series? Anyway. Okay, since it's a BMW, we need to go check for leaks. Well, it runs, and I don't see any major leaks. So, now that we got the turbo installed and the engine is running, we need to start thinking about the tune. Let's talk about that. Here we go again. So yeah, it's monsoon season in Florida. Okay, so this is quite the jump cut. It's been almost 2 weeks since that last video clip, but we've got the BMW back on its feet. The Maxpeedingrods turbo is installed and she is ready to rock. But we need to do one more thing. In order to tune the car properly, we need data. Specifically, we need Wideband O2 data. Now we already have a Wideband O2 gauge with a wideband controller. And the wideband controller has two data outputs. It has one that, of course, connects to the gauge, and then it has this extra one that you can connect to the ECU. So we're just going to take this guy and connect it to one of the downstream O2 sensor connectors, and we will be able to log Wideband O2 data. Okay, so when I deleted the downstream O2 sensors, I also deleted the wiring for them, but thankfully I kept one of these signal wires. That's what this yellow wire is. And once again, we can connect this to our wideband setup, and it'll give us wideband data. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the downstream O2 sensors, they use a 0 to 5 volt signal, and it just so happens our wideband gauge also uses a 0 to 5 volt signal. Oh, and in case you didn't know, the downstream O2 sensor signal wires are on the X60002 connector. And they are pins 16 and 18. Okay, so change of plans. Instead of using the downstream O2 sensor wiring, we're going to use the Bank 2 upstream O2 sensor, which is not being used anymore since I'm using a single O2 sensor. This is convenient because the wiring is already here. I haven't deleted it yet. I have a O2 sensor pigtail here. We will take this yellow wire, connect it to our wideband, and these other three wires need to go away. Okay, so the process of getting rid of these wires is pretty fun. We need one of these depinning tools. We take the tool and insert it into the end of the connector like so. Then you can see these little plastic tabs here. We need to take a pick or a pocket screwdriver and gently lift up that plastic tab, and then at the same time you need to pull that wire out. And let me tell you, this is pretty tricky. All this has to happen at the same time. This has to be inserted, that tab has to be lifted up, and then you pull the wire all at once. I don't think I'm going to get it on camera, but you get the point. Okay, so I have to break in the video with a quick correction. For the wideband connection, I actually ended up using pin 16 on this connector, which is, if I remember correctly, downstream O2 sensor bank 1. Once again, it's the yellow wire. Anyway, I tried using the unused upstream O2 connector, but it kept shutting off. Apparently, if the ECU does not detect a heating element on the upstream connector, it shuts off the signal. Interesting. Anyway, back to the video. And the reason I'm getting rid of these other three wires is, first of all, that one's a power wire. I don't want that shorting out to anything. These other two are grounds, but I'm getting rid of them anyway because I just don't want them hanging around. Okay, so off camera I got rid of those other three wires. Once again, we need to keep the yellow one. This connector is ready to go. Now I can plug it in to our Wideband O2. Now I can plug it in to our O2 sensor connector, splice that into our Wideband O2 wire, and we are in business. Okay, so we have that yellow wire hooked up to our O2 sensor connector, and it's also hooked up to the wideband controller inside the car. So now we are ready to start tuning. Okay, so now we have everything all buttoned up in the engine compartment. Now let's hook up the laptop computer and see if we can log data. Okay, so we've got the laptop computer hooked up to the car, and we're starting to configure our data logging setup. Now, this stuff is going to get really long-winded and technical, so maybe I should tackle this in its own dedicated video. So this is probably a good point to end this video. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned.